going on, guys? Welcome back to the Broad Street Boys, and here we are, Caleb, talking straight Phillies. Somehow in January, I didn't think we would ever get here, and Dave Dombrowski's still making moves and about to make a big move. At least that's what it's trending to. I'm not trying to jinx anything, but that's what it's looking like. So we're gonna start straight away, talking about the big Bo Bichette news. This news has come out of absolutely nowhere, and then has honestly exploded throughout the past few days, and especially today. I read a tweet saying that the Yankees are thinking about pulling out of it because we're probably going to get it. There's a lot of big moves. Caleb, let's start with you. Let's hear your thoughts about this, and I just can't believe this happened.
I'm super excited about this, especially with the fact that in past off seasons, especially with free agents, there is rumors that the Phillies are kind of in on somebody, and then like nothing happens. Turns out Phillies were never really interested. About a week ago, a little bit more than a week, it was reported that the Phillies have interest in Bo Bichette. And then fast forward to a couple days ago, Phillies are in on Bichette. And then what was reported yesterday is the Phillies have set up a meeting with Bo Bichette for a Zoom meeting at some point in the next coming days. And then what came out today is that this meeting that they have set up with Bichette is actually the second meeting that they are having with him. And it's this whole ripple, this whole chain. It's like it started out kind of like, all right, not going to think much of it. And then all of a sudden, it's like it is going so quickly. Like I bet money. I would bet money that in the next week or so, Bichette is going to be a Philly.
Yeah, this is accelerated at a ridiculous rate.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was telling Caleb this right before, but there was a tweet that went out. Like I'm about to read it to you, but there was a tweet that went out around 11:30 today from Bob Clapp. It's at Bob Clapp on Twitter. He's an official MLB columnist, so he's pretty credible. This is all in a quote. The Yankees, who are Bichette's number 2 option, the Phillies are apparently his number 1 option, but the Yankees are his number 2 option. The Yankees don't appear to have a plan B ready. Outfielder Kyle Tucker is too expensive, and infielder Bo Bichette is almost certainly headed to the Phillies, where Don Mattingly, his former bench coach in Toronto, will assume that same role at the other end of the Jersey Turnpike. But the exact words that he used was almost certainly headed to the Phillies. After, like Caleb said, like a week ago, we were interested in Bo Bichette, and then a few days ago, it was like, oh my God, we're actually in. We're like his top, 5 or 6 teams. And then here we are today, and he's almost certainly heading to us. And this is now accelerated rapidly throughout. I haven't seen this happen for the Phillies in a while. And I thought it was a great point. I feel like we're always technically in, or we're interested in, like these big name players, and then they go elsewhere. And then we're like, why was there a rumor to begin with? And then now we're actually probably going to get a top tier shortstop. But I think the main thing that we're kind of thinking on this podcast, though, Caleb, and I'll start with you with this, but like, what does this mean contract wise for people? And does this mean that we're officially not running it back?
Oh, I mean, yeah, we're not running it back. We bring in Bichette. That means we're getting rid of either Stott or Bohm, with Bohm being the head guy that we would be trading away to make room for Bichette. Lineup wise, I don't know how it would work because he is a shortstop. But obviously Trey is much better than him defensively. So what is rumored to happen if Bichette comes to Philly is that he would play second base. Stott would move to third. And remember, when Stott came up, he started out as a third baseman.
Yep.
So he has played third before. It is not his primary position, but he has done it. He is solid defensively, so I don't think it would be a lot for him to pick up third base. And then, with Bohm not being in that lineup, you trade Bohm. Bringing in Bichette also blocks off Philly's top prospect over in Escobar. You can package him with Bohm, throw Castellanos in there and see if someone could pick up a chunk of his contract. And with those 3 guys, you should be able to get a solid bullpen piece and maybe even your catcher for the next couple of years.
Totally. We were kind of talking off camera about this too, but a name that came up was Dalton Rushing from the Dodgers, and I think that was someone I didn't necessarily think of. But Caleb, give it everybody like your thoughts on that, because that could be a real thing.
So my thoughts with Dalton rushing is that the Dodgers in the next 12 years will need a second baseman. Right now, I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, I didn't check their lineup or anything. I don't think they have a set second baseman. They've had Mookie play a little bit of second. They've had him play short primarily. There's rumors that they might move him back to the outfield. They have Tommy Edman, who is more of a super utility player at this point. They're rumored to go after Brendan Donovan, but they're also in money trouble where if they spend or go after a big player and have to pick up their contract, they will be paying, I think, 110% tax.
Yeah, something
crazy where I think they would be paying an extra $80 million in tax. So I don't know if they want to do that. And Arun Escobar, a lot of teams view him as a top 5 second baseman in the minor leagues.
Totally.
And at the trade deadline last year, Phillies were interested in a lot of superstar players, Stephen Kwan being one of them, and the Guardians wanted Escobar, but the Phillies did not want to give him up because that, like, during the summer, he was part of the Phillies' future.
Yep.
Now, with Bichette coming to Philly, that blocks off one of Escobar or Miller. And Miller not only has more talent, more potential, but is half a season away from being on the Phillies major league roster. So Escobar more than likely will be traded after this, unless they have another crazy idea, which I don't really know what that would be. Yeah. But the Dodgers want to need a second baseman. He plays second base. And I think a 1-for-1 swap for Escobar for rushing makes a ton of sense. That gives us a catcher. A lefty bat too, lefty power bat. He's got a lot of pop. And like if you draw out the lineup, you can do a perfect lefty righty with rushing in there.
Yeah, this entire thing is interesting, and I was trying to think of like the Dodgers second baseman. It was a lot of platooning, but it was what was his name, Hai Sung Kim, the guy from Korea.
Young Japanese kid.
Yeah, but he can't. He is good, like, and he's young, which I recognize that. But I don't know if you remember Caleb, but he didn't play every day because he couldn't hit lefties, like at all. Like he would be in there and be pretty good against like righties and stuff, but he cannot hit a lefty. So I think they would possibly be interested, especially. It's the only thing is like the Dodgers are very win now in all of their moves, which is odd, but whatever. But yeah, and I actually really like the idea of moving Arun Escobar, not necessarily because of he's not a great player, but because he is a great player and could be great trade bait, and I would rather him go than Miller, because as you're talking, Caleb, I actually thought of this. I am a Bryson Stott guy. I love Bryson Stott. I love how he plays the game. I think he plays fantastic defense. I think that defense will carry over to third base. However, I will admit that, Caleb, would you agree that randomly Bryson Stott will go on a 3-week span of not hitting anything and just popping up? Would you technically agree with me with that? 'Cause
100%.
Okay, so going off of that, you could even, and we all know Rob Thompson loves a good platoon player. You could even platoon Aiden Miller and Bryson Stott at that third base spot if Stott's slumping or Miller gets hot or something like that. I think that you could possibly do that too, especially if obviously they want to bring Aiden Miller up. They actually apparently almost did it late in the season last year. So I think that could be a very real idea as well. And I'm very excited to see what this lineup kind of looks like, because you said it and I didn't really think of it, but what would the batting lineup look like with Bo Bichette? Is he hitting top 3? Probably not. But is he going to hit like 5 or 6? Maybe,
So before we did this, I drew a batting order with Stott and then one if we kept Bohm. And the one that I wrote up for if we keep Stott is Turner, Schwarber, Harper, Bichette. That's the top 4.
Okay.
And I thought about putting Bichette behind Turner.
Yeah.
Like that, it does make some sense.
Totally.
But with Turner getting on base, and then you got the 2 power guys, Bichette's also really good at driving and runs, and
100%.
he hits gap to gap, not the way that Cassie does. He's been an AL hits leader
Yeah,
for a couple of seasons. And I think having a guy like that in the 4 hole is perfect.
totally.
Maybe you pencil him in at 3, maybe 2, but I think he's a top. He's going to be a 2, 3, or 4 hitter. I
I
doubt
agree.
they put him in the 5 hole.
I agree. It could be. And it's honestly because not that just that we're going to pay him a lot of money, but I think he really is that good of a player. And something that I thought of coming onto this as well is you look at their moves, right? The Phillies' recent moves. A lot of them have playoff experience.
Yeah,
Bo Bichette had if the Dodgers didn't come back in that game 7, Bo Bichette is they
World Series
so
MVP.
obviously he's a Toronto legend if they win that game because of his 3-run home run in game 7. Like that was probably to that point the biggest hit, one of the biggest home runs, probably the second biggest home run in Blue Jays history after Joe Carter against the Phillies.
Yep.
And up to that point, like he was like, oh my god, this is like the greatest story ever. Bo Bichette didn't play the entire playoffs, came back for the World Series, hit what 300, I think 300 ish.
He was on fire that
He was
whole
killing
run.
after coming off cold because he's been hurt for months. I would say, Caleb, right? Months, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so so you have you add a dude like Bo Bichette, and then you add a guy like Adolis Garcia, which we all know what the ceiling of Adolis Garcia is, and that's World Series, MVP, like hitting home runs, hitting like 30 plus home runs, and doing his classic, Adolis Garcia, celebrations and throwing things. It's fantastic. But yeah, I mean, those 2 additions, if you think about it, have a bunch of not even just playoff experience, playoff success, and I feel like that's going to really help us in the future.
Yep.
And that's just something I thought of coming on here. I was like, wow, like we've totally gone from a team that obviously has a lot of playoff experience, but not a lot of success other than the World Series, to now replacing Alec Bohm for a guy that just hit a 3-run home run in Game 7, and replacing Max Kepler, who has played in 3 playoff games. Or actually, I think his only playoff series was against the Dodgers with us. So if you think about it, taking a dude with 4 games and replacing him with a guy with some of the biggest home runs in Texas Rangers history that's in my opinion, if they just stay healthy, that's just huge for everyone involved, honestly.
Bichette fills a lot of holes.
Yeah.
His defense is subpar, and if they decide to put him at third base, I think he would be similar to Bone defensively, maybe a few more errors. But his bat in the lineup is essentially what they were hoping they would get from Castellanos. Bichette can't hit home runs, but he is a hits guy. He hits the ball.
Totally. If anybody watching, I suggest that you watch like Bo Bichette hits, hot moments and highlights, because you'll notice that everything is gap to gap or line to line. There's nothing really like straight on right, left, or center field. If like honestly, especially when was it? It wasn't this year. I think it was the year before. He led the league in hits, correct, or the AL in hits. 2 years, I think. Whatever. That year, I remember I seeing just like highlights of him, and everything is down line. like whether he's late, early, it's just finding holes all over the place. And I mean, putting that guy within your 1 through 4 would be ridiculous. I think, yeah, and it would be really interesting to see what Thompson does with him, because I mean, if he is the Bohm replacement, I guess, but like really a Bohm upgrade, then he would go on the 4, because that's where Rob Thompson trusted Alec Bohm. And not saying that they're similar players, but they're only similar in that all they do is just get hits and stuff, and they're not necessarily big power guys. And obviously that's not important to Rob in that 4 hole. So putting Bo at the 4 would be huge. What's up?
He led the American League in hits in 2021, 2022, and then before his injury in 25,
Yes.
he was on pace to be the leader across the whole league.
So it's stuff like that even like, and obviously it's within a ton of at bats. So Like
He's
he's just finding holes all over.
he's 28 too. Like he'll be 28 by opening day.
Um, I do want actually for everybody out there and Kale. I don't know if you know this, but he's actually younger than Bryson Stott.
Yeah,
and I didn't really think of it like that, but I was like, wow. I was like, he really is. Like that's crazy. And in our head, Bryson Stott's still like 20.
yeah.
And
I still see him as like a 25-year-old.
yeah, and yet, I mean, I like Stott, but the fact that we're about to pay this guy, and I actually found that out because I saw like a projected what's it called contract, and I saw like 6 years, and I was like in my head he was like 30, and I was like, why would we give him 6 years if he's gonna be done at 36? Then we have a 36-year-old, 37-year-old, 41-year-old, and whatever. I was like, that makes no sense. But then he's currently 27, about to be 28, and I was like, oh, that makes so much more sense. The contract's over when he's 34, which is
Yeah,
fine with me.
that would be perfect.
That's honestly perfect with me.
That is kind of like where people really start to dip, and then like look at Goldschmidt.
Is
totally. Year 33 or 34 season, he won MVP.
Yeah, and then
since then his production has declined massively.
Yeah,
but he's still solid. I think Bichette could easily be one of those types of players who finishes out his contract on the decline a little bit at the end, but is still like playable past that.
Totally. I can't he seems like a really good teammate as well, and the fans love him, so, which I think speaks a lot. And also, the fans also love Adolis Garcia for the most part. And just to see that we've now added 2 fan favorites onto our team, onto a team that people already is beloved. Take out all the playoff losses, and this team is beloved just in general. Especially like a dude like Kyle Schwarber, like that's a big deal. But yeah, these are all fascinating points to me. And yeah, this offseason's been interesting too, Caleb. I don't know about you, but this has been a very interesting offseason overall. Because would you agree that it's a little weird that like someone like Kyle Tucker hasn't like signed yet, or is he just like waiting for everybody to be signed?
No, I think Bichette is holding up what happens with Tucker.
Yeah,
because the Blue Jays signed Okamoto, which kind of blocked out Bichette in a way.
Totally.
If I had to put 4 teams up there for Bichette right now, I'd say Phillies number 1, Detroit is number 2, Yankees 3, Blue Jays 4. I think there is still a little bit of hope that he goes back to Toronto, but it's not likely.
Yeah, especially with the money that he's requesting. I saw a thing, we were texting about this, but I just don't think he's gonna get that $300 million that he was asking for initially. I just don't see it happening. And we're also not the only 2 people that are saying this. I have seen many like clips on like Instagram Reels or whatever from like highly touted people saying, yeah, he's not getting that $300 million. It's gonna be within like a 240 to like a 260. Would you agree? Or something within that, or maybe a little higher or lower?
220 to 260. I'd say somewhere in that range, 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, which makes sense.
Yeah.
And again, he deserves it. He's really played himself into like his contract, honestly. And that World Series is really helpful for that as well. And it kind of shows you what kind of player he is.
2023, he had a really, really down year.
Yeah, it was bad.
But I remember it being really bad. I thought he was going to be a bust. 2024, he comes back. He's solid. And then, he was great last year.
Yeah, wasn't it in 2023 when they were like not going to cut him or trade him, but they were definitely thinking about it? I remember his name being on the trade block in one of these past 2 years.
Yeah, I think 23 and 24, his name's on the trade block.
Yeah, because the Blue Jays weren't that good either.
No.
Or at least at the time.
They were last place in the AL last year.
Yes. Which is crazy. And then they made the World Series and almost beat the Dodgers.
With almost the same roster.
Yeah, which is crazy. The fact, like, that's like, in my opinion, that's like the beauty of baseball. Like, 1 year you could be absolutely amazing and almost beat the Dodgers in the World Series, but then the next year you could fully be in last place with the same exact dudes. Like, it's so. Is that when they fired their coach too? Who was their coach for? I was trying to think. Was Schneider still the coach? I forget. I'm not that. Hey,
I
we
don't
got ball knowledge. We don't have like Toronto Blue Jays level ball knowledge. That's just
know.
not. It's just. I mean, I know players, but I don't really know like the in depth stuff. But who knows? Who cares? Um, yeah. What else? I mean, all of the I was convinced that Imai was going to go to somewhere on the East Coast, and he just didn't. And now he's on the Astros.
I was thinking maybe he would go to Philly.
We had a meeting with him. We
Maybe
tried.
Yankees. Yeah, like we definitely tried.
Mhm.
He even said in his interview with Houston that the two pitchers who he looks up to a lot in the MLB are Garrett Cole and Zach Wheeler,
Right.
which I think that's why a lot of people had the Phillies and the Yankees as the favorites to land Imai.
Totally.
But like the difference between him and then Bichette is that a lot of the stuff was speculation with him. With Bichette, it's like everybody's saying it. John Morosi's saying it.
Yeah.
MLB Network is saying it. A bunch of insiders are saying
Like,
it.
yeah.
I mean, Philly players are texting Bichette, kind of being.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of there's a lot of pandering going on and whatnot, but
Totally.
he lost to the Dodgers. We lost to the Dodgers. I'm sure he's pissed.
Yes, we are.
Phillies. I mean, we're pissed. We're pissed about it. Oops.
Totally.
I think we are the team that is closest to beating the Dodgers.
I agree. It's not the Mets.
And if I'm giving him like my sale, I'm being like, dude, we've beaten the Dodgers regular season.
Mhm.
We beat them fairly. The playoffs, we were missing our hitter.
Yeah.
If you come to us, I'd be like, you put us over the hump to beat the Dodgers.
I agree.
If we had Bichette in that series, I think we beat LA.
I agree because think about it. Duran came out twice? I think once or twice.
Twice.
And I think if you have Bo Bichette, then we at least have a little more time, and then he comes out more.
I think they put him out once for legit. The other time, I think they just brought him out so they could show off the cool entrance.
Yeah, and then did they get booed? He didn't get booed. I think the entrance got booed.
Yeah, the entrance got booed because everyone was just over it. It was like 5.
I think we were losing.
Yeah, we were losing because they just wanted to show everyone, oh, we got this cool. We're losing, but hey, check this out,
dude. Wasn't that game 2? That was game 2, wasn't it?
No, I think it was game 1.
Was it 1? Okay. Yeah, that was a brutal series to watch, just in general. That sucked. But no, I actually agree with you. I really think if we had Bo Bichette, that would at least manufacture a few more runs, and maybe a Ryan Kirkering wouldn't be in that situation in that scenario. But
what do you think? Do you think they keep Kirkering?
I think they do.
I say they do. I think he's going to come back better than ever. I think he's going to have a lot of fire, especially after his mistake. Like I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back and he's pumping 100.
Yeah, I actually like Kirkering's obviously currently going to get a lot of hate, and I guess rightfully so. But like, I like Kirkering stuff. Like, I guarantee that either I've said this or you've said this on the pod, but I could tell you right now, if he just leads with his like fastball that kind of cuts like on the inside, I think he'll be so much more successful than if he just leans on that sweeper like thing that he has. What is that? Sweeper slider type of thing? Yeah. I think that's what they call it. But
100%.
Which is nasty, by the way. Which is totally nasty. But it's not nasty when you throw it like 3 times out of your 5 pitches to a batter. Like of course they're gonna know what's coming. Yep. If he just leans in because he has that 4-seamer and he has that sinker as well. If he leans into those 2 pitches just a little more and like leads with those, he'll be so successful. And I agree. I think. Really, this is just probably our mindset, but if that happens to us in the playoffs, that just motivates me more to work hard and to destroy everybody and prove everybody wrong. Mm-hmm. And to have a very motivated Kirkering, a Brad Keller, a Jose Alvarado that is going to be going in the playoffs.
I hope he has a big year.
Me too. And then having Duran, I think it's a big deal for bullpen. Even though I like how everybody talks about bullpen though. And yet, these past few years, the bullpen hasn't necessarily been that big of an issue in the playoffs. It's been us hitting. Would you agree?
Yeah. And like losing Strom,
yeah.
People think that hurts a lot. I don't think it hurts as much as people think.
I don't think it does either.
Because like you still have to think, okay, you lose Strom, The guy who we got from Kansas City, I think, like, he's
Yeah,
young. I think he could turn out to be decent. And then we make the trade with Arizona for a lefty. So we have
yeah,
a specialist specifically for righties. We have a specialist for lefties.
yeah.
I'm hoping the guy from Arizona works out because he has a funky delivery and a
Mhm.
really grip slider. So if he can
Oh,
figure,
look,
like, he's great against lefties. If he can figure out how to pitch against righties,
yeah,
I
I'm
think
looking him
I
up.
think
Right.
we found our own, like, another Matt Strom. And then you have to think that if we sign Bichette, one of one of Bohm or Escobar is going to get us like another legit bullpen piece. And
Totally.
I know Bohm to Pittsburgh for Dennis Santana and
Santana.
maybe
Yes.
Joey Bart or
Yep.
Henry Davis, like that. That could be a possibility.
Any of them.
Yep.
So I actually so I just looked up the um Diamondbacks pitcher that we got. It's Kyle Brackus.
Yeah.
And for anybody that doesn't know Kyle Brackus, I didn't really until I looked into him, and I'm like, oh my god. So if you thought Strom had a weird arm angle, that kind of starts out way, I guess this way behind a left-handed hitter. This guy literally steps in the left-handed batter's box and then finishes like horizontally.
Yeah.
And then so it is disgusting. It's honestly gross. I did. Was he on the team when we lost to them in 23?
I, I don't
I
think
have
so.
no idea. Yeah, here you look that up. But he is genuinely like if you bring him in against like a tough lefty like Otani or think of any tough lefty, like they would have a lot of issues, especially if they haven't seen him like all year.
Yeah.
Someone that might not have someone that might have a little more success is someone like Juan Soto because Juan Soto is going to probably see him a lot throughout the entire year. But you throw him in the playoffs against Otani, Freeman, name a lefty period that isn't within our division, and like he is nasty. And I forget if did we trade Strom before we got him, Kayla, or did we trade Strom after we got
We
him?
traded Strom for
Do you remember? I totally
I'm
forgot.
blanking on his name. Jonathan Bolin.
Okay, so and people didn't love the trade initially, because Bolin is raw. I guess you could say he's just a raw prospect. Like he's shown flashes, but he just hasn't pitched a whole lot.
Yeah.
Um, but I kind of like the idea just to because he's way cheaper than Strom. We're paying Strom decent amount of money, and if the whole idea was to get a bigger prospect, or not a prospect, but like a bigger free agent, then sending Strom away, I think, was a good idea. What do you
Yeah.
think?
Sending Strom to free up cap space,
Yeah.
which at the time everyone thought it was going to be for JT Realmuto,
Mhm.
because back when they traded Strom, this is when the holdout between JT and the Phillies really kind of started, and a lot of
Yeah.
people thought that this was the Phillies' way of being able to get more money because just despite everything with Bichette, I think they would still like to try and keep
Mhm.
JT. Um,
Yeah.
so I think everyone's first thought was, okay, all that 7 mil that was going to Strom is now going to be going to JT Realmuto, and now being where we are now, it seems like it's going to be going towards Bichette.
Yeah. A better player.
Much better player and
That's cool.
younger.
Yeah, very. And something else that I think I saw yesterday, and you mentioned this, but I thought it was a good point. But um, because we're probably going to get Bichette, that pretty much closes the door. Would you say on JT and or Ranger?
Yeah,
I think permanently, sadly. But yeah, I think you mentioned that yesterday, right?
yeah. Giving Bichette whatever money he's going to get per year,
Yeah,
that's going to end our free agency market.
yeah,
Any moves that we make after Bichette,
yeah,
unless they're just like, you know what, let's just keep going. Let's go through every single tax threshold there is and just
yeah.
owe a whole lot of money. Unless they decide to do that, which I think would be psycho.
I agree.
Everything else is going to have to be through trade.
Yeah, which is interesting. And the with the whole tax bracket thing, like if I know anything about John Middleton slash Dave Dombrowski, they don't like to break the tax bracket.
Yeah,
And they haven't done it in either a long time or maybe ever. So
they
like
didn't they do it were they broke one of them the year that they signed Schwarber and Casti.
Yes, but I think that was different because I think we were at a very weird point in just the Phillies in general. I don't know if you remember because we were at that weird spot where we had one MVP like that because wasn't that when Bryce won MVP in
Yeah,
2021, but the rest of the team stunk. Like we had regressing Didi Gregorius, we had just like random people, and we were like, okay, we need to do something.
I
So
kind of forgot. I forgot we had Didi.
right, it like, but he was good for a little. He was good in 2020.
Dude,
And then
he was really good. Like 2020 was his year.
and it wasn't it. It was the end of 21. He was pretty bad, but then the beginning of 22, I remember him hitting like 0.089 or something around that, and then Dave had to cut him, and it was sad.
Yeah.
But I mean, it ended up working out because we made it to the World Series. But that was so. I think that they kind of broke that for probably a good reason. But
100%.
yeah, but yeah, it's just been an interesting off season for the Phillies. It's something that we're not, accustomed to. I said this off camera. We've kind of mentioned it already, but I was personally kind of waiting for a sign that we weren't going to truly run it back again. Because I don't know if you remember from the last Phillies pod that we had, we were talking about, it was like, yeah, we signed Kyle Schwarber, yay, like good. It was probably bound to happen anyway, and like even now hearing that he rejected money from the Reds because he was like, yeah, don't even try, I'm going back to Phillies, like basically
It was always Philly,
right? It was always going to be Philly. So I thought I appreciate that, but that was a part of the last year's team. Then we added Adolis, which yes, Adolis is way better than a dude like Max Kepler, but it was also a similar move from last year where we added just another, I wouldn't say older, but kind of older outfielder. So very similar in that case. And then the report came out that said that we were done with the outfield, and I was like, oh my god, like we're legit running it back again. So I was kind of waiting for that, if that makes sense. And then this past week we get the Bichette news, and if Bichette comes, that means we have to trade Bohm, and then we can't re-sign anybody else. Then we're obviously running it back, and then we're definitely trading Casti, and it's so now I finally see that we are officially running it back. Would you? I mean, obviously, Caleb, I think you would. Or sorry, we're not running it back. Sorry,
we're not running it back.
We're not running it back. Sorry.
We're deep enough. We're deep enough in Bichette now that if we don't get Bichette, I think we put that money towards Tucker.
Yes.
Maybe trade Marsh. We're not going to run it back. We're going to blow up that core of Marsh, Bohm, and Stott. One way or another is going to get blown up.
Yeah. Something else that I saw that I thought was interesting was sometimes that we have. I mean, it's been a thing, but sometimes there's random like arbitration issues, but we've had no arbitration issues this year. I don't know if you know that, Caleb. Like everything's going as planned. Everyone's getting the money that they want. I think Stott took a little less money just to take a little less money. They signed Jesus Luzardo to his arbitration along with Duran, which is huge because those two really could be making way more money. I think that they should probably recontract or resign, not resign, but like extend. Thank you, Jesus Luzardo.
They need to. I think that's going to be once they free up some space after this upcoming season. I think that's going to be the first. They'll probably do it this season at some point, but they have to extend him. He's too good to let go.
And he's a free agent next year, isn't he? Like after this year. So
I think so.
I think I saw after the 2026 season. But to lock him up like now, like that would be huge, especially because we know. I mean, obviously we now know how good Jesus Luzardo can be. He's a stud. He's like, he's awesome. And he deserves all that money. So why not give it to him now instead of playing the game in free agency where you have someone random like the Dodgers or like the Yankees throw millions and millions of dollars at him, when in reality you really could have just re-signed him, which is what I want us to do. And I want in Duran, we have Duran under this arbitration until 28, I think.
Okay, yeah.
We were there. We were there.
Yeah.
But that's a big deal because he's like the best closer. Period. In my opinion, he's awesome. So we have him for cheap, and we'll eventually have to re-sign him. But I would hope we do, right? Especially if he continues to be like this. Like I would hope so. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Do we have anything else to talk about? I'm trying to think that we've covered a lot about one dude. So
With Bichette potentially coming to Philly and Miller being ready,
Mhm.
This is kind of like it's related, but a little off topic to what we've
Sure.
been talking about. But do you think Stott gets traded at all this season?
I
Like, let's
don't.
say
I think out of the three, Stott is the most safe because he's been the most consistent, if that makes sense. And
here's what I'm
yeah,
thinking though. Like,
sure.
Boehm, if we sign Bichette, Boehm is gone. I think they would much rather keep Stott. He is better defensively. He offers more. Um, Stott's safe.
I think
But
so too.
let's say come spring training, Miller is comfortable at third base,
Mhm.
better defensively. His offensive production, like he's hitting major league pitching well, and they think he's ready.
Okay.
Do you think that maybe the first half of the season is, like you said, Miller and Stott kind of splitting time at third,
Mhm.
and then come trade deadline, they trade Stott?
I think it's definitely a possibility. Um, like I feel like I would be wrong saying it's not because again, as I said before, I am a Bryson Stott guy, but that dude can go so cold. And if he starts off cold and then eventually gets a little better, then that's fine. But if he stays around like 250s, that's very possible because if especially and this is also in the scenario obviously that Aiden Miller is looking better than Bryson Stott. Um, so I think it's definitely possible. I just don't think it'll happen because I think that they kind of know that Bryson Stott has done it in the playoffs before, if that makes sense,
Mm-hmm.
and the other two really haven't, other than Marsh's home run when we were in the stadium in the stadium, and then his home run in the World Series as well. But that was years ago. Bryson Stott has had now continued success in the playoffs with his big hits against the Mets, with his consistency last right. We were talking about this his consistency last playoffs as well. Um, but you know what I mean. So that's why I think they're a little more reluctant to trade him in comparison to like Marsh, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Especially, yeah. Here, go ahead.
I think Marsh gets dealt this year. I wouldn't be surprised if they decide to get a little fancy and try to put Harper back in the outfield
Yeah,
because
I can see that, and I would actually like that. Is that crazy to say?
I would like him back in the outfield, and that also if they sign Bichette and they're like, okay, we're gonna move Boehm to first, keep Stott at second, or maybe put him to third, and then Bichette second or third,
Right,
put Harper back in the outfield.
right.
You got Garcia out there, trade Marsh, Crawford in center, or maybe you keep Marsh in center for a little bit, but end up trading Marsh. Like
Yeah,
that makes us ridiculously deep.
I agree, and I think that's something that we're trying to get a little better at too, because obviously we have Edmundo Sosa, a great utility guy,
Oh,
um,
he's phenomenal.
fantastic, like awesome. Otto Kemp is also a really solid bench guy, especially weirdly he had a pretty good postseason. Would you agree? He had a pretty good postseason. He had a few big hits and a weirdly good like end of the season. If you remember, he was hot in like August into September. So he's like not bad, but I kind of want them to get. I would assume you're going to agree with me when I say this, but I kind of want one to get another bench piece that's a left-handed hitter. That's not Garrett Stubbs.
It's gonna be Gabriel Rincones Jr.
So if that's who it is, that's perfect because then
I,
that's
I
you're
think
just progressing
I
the
think a
kid.
lot of the bench bats are gonna be internally fixed because
The
they
young
got
dude.
Camp who's gonna stay on the bench,
Yeah,
Rincones who I think will start the year on the bench. And maybe like he's a guy who I think could take Garcia's spot at some point down the road this season. Like I'm high on him.
me too.
He struggles against lefties, but like he has a ton of power. Last spring training, he was
Yeah,
getting a lot of attention because of it. Um,
yeah,
Kyle Schwarber has worked with him. He was coaching and mentoring him. I think that's going to help him a lot. Who else?
Yeah,
There's a lot of guys who are on the verge of being MLB ready.
Yeah, you actually just put a light bulb in my head too. Like I like it's and Rob Thompson loves his platoons. I don't, but Rob Thompson loves his platoons, and that's almost like his one of his faults. Like he loves it so much that he feels like he needs to put them in. So having good younger dudes, I think, would be much more helpful than like Jake Cave 2 years ago, or like, but you know what I mean, or like randos like that.
Yep.
And I honestly wouldn't hate, especially if like because I like Adolis Garcia before I say this, but he can go on a huge slump. It's very possible, and it's happened before. So like, imagine like Adolis goes totally cold against righties, right? Maybe in a big spot, you're like, or even like you just I don't know, you mix it up, give him a little rest, and you're like, let's put in Rincones against I don't know, name a righty, like, but you know what I mean, like, and especially if Rincones is destroying righties and not doing anything lefties, then whenever a lefty comes in for Rincones, then you just put Garcia. So
yep.
I wouldn't hate that scenario either. And we have said this before, but I am so ready to see all of these younger guys because I'm so sick of hearing about them and not like seeing them. If that makes sense. Like I'm sick of. I mean, it gets back to this exact point with like Mick Abel. Like I don't know how many things we've heard about Mick Abel, and then he never came up until he finally did, and he was pretty good. I'm ready I'm kind of in that same mode for like Aiden Miller and Rincones and Andrew Painter. Those three, I am ready to stop hearing about you. I want to see it, if that makes sense. It's especially Painter. I'm seeing Painter clips when wasn't he just at the Arizona League or whatever, where he was throwing?
Painter. I don't know if Miller was. Painter was in the fall league. Dante Nori was in the fall league and was actually
right.
He was like phenomenal. Like he got a lot of attention from people that follow minor league baseball. Shane Victorino is very high on Dante Nori and Justin Crawford.
Yeah, which is great.
Yeah.
But yeah, main point, I'm sick of hearing about all these people, and I need to see Andrew Painter because not to be that guy, but Andrew Painter is one of the main reasons why Ranger Suarez is out, and I want to see why, basically. and I actually am so excited for Painter to actually come back because I'm again ready to see him, but also I want to see this like fastball that he had, and that's so electric, and having a righty in there instead of another lefty, I think is huge for the rotation because it is admittingly it is weird when in a playoff series you could possibly go like, especially last year, you could have swept the Dodgers with all lefties. If you think you literally could have went Chris Sanchez, Jesus, Ranger, if you really wanted to. And that's very odd. So, but now replacing Ranger, who I love, with a younger electric fastball type of pitcher, it's exciting. Especially, you would also agree with me with this, but like the people that Andrew Painter's being compared to is like Jacob deGrom.
It's top tier guys.
So I don't know about you, but and I'll let you talk about him, but I'm ready to see this Garrett Cole type of pitcher. Like I'm ready to see it. What do you think? I'm ready.
I'm ready for it. And yeah, it's like every time I go on Twitter and I see something about young players, especially the MLB Ready Now ones, it's always Painter. Even though he's not listed as like I forget if he's top 10 or not. I don't think he is, but a lot of people have him listed as as actually not but like the top pitching prospect in all of baseball.
Yeah, and I think we're all just ready to see him. But yeah, that'll be interesting.
This is the year I think he breaks camp. I think Miller breaks camp. I think Renko. I think all of these, or a lot of these young guys, I think are going to break camp.
Yeah, I'm also crossing my fingers that no injuries happen during spring training because like that would, like, especially Painter, like that would throw a wrench in everything, because then you're like, holy shit, like I just got rid of Ranger Suarez for this guy and I was hurt again. Like that just sucks. You know?
Could be like a Wheeler 2.0.
Yeah, it really could be. And actually, the next thing of it is Zach Wheeler gonna be ready for opening day? I think maybe. Okay, no. Okay. Because what was it that he hurt? I know it was his shoulder, but it was something weird,
Yeah,
right?
he had thrombosis.
Blood clots.
He had blood clot,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
they removed that. They said he's throwing well, he's doing well through his recovery. I think maybe like a month and a half will be out, but it's not going to be too bad.
Yeah, and I think I saw a tweet that Rob Thompson was going to meet with him and his family because he was throwing I think it was 75%, which is pretty good for January. It's pretty good.
Maybe there's a chance that he's ready for opening day, but I'd say a month.
Yeah, like it to me it feels like May, if that makes sense. It feels like May when the weather's a little warmer and it's a little easier to pitch. So or at least that's what I hope. But we'll see. Okay, do we have anything else? I'm trying to think. Anything else?
No.
All right. Well,
that is all. Hopefully Bichette goes to Philly.
Bichette goes to Philly.
I'm actually checking Twitter to see if there's any more stuff coming out with teams backing out. It sounds like the Yankees will probably be backing out.
Yep.
I think the Cubs will be backing out. I think it's inevitable at this point. Bichette to Philly.
I'm with you. Just everybody check your phones because it's going to drop within the next few days. So that'll be something. And the next time that we possibly talk Phillies, we could have a brand new catcher too. Because I think we're going to try to grab. I think we're giving JT one more week, and then we're going to grab a catcher. Regardless. So it'll be interesting.
I saw. I think if he goes cheap, they would spend the extra money to bring back JT. Which I mean Bichette.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind if they brought back JT after that, but with this whole thing, I am ready to move on from him. So and then obviously, they have a plan for backup catcher. So I think once Bichette goes, I think it's gonna be boom, 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 and then we're done.
It's gonna be a chain reaction, but it'll be fun because it's gonna happen quickly. And if you think about it, pitchers and catchers report in a month. So
yeah, it's they got I think 6 weeks, about 6 weeks before they have to decide where people have to figure out what's going to happen, what the roster's going to look like. Players have to decide where they want to play. It's going to happen like that because you also got you have Kyle Tucker who's still out there. You have Alex Bregman. Bregman he took a while last time he was a free agent, but you got a lot of guys who got to decide where they want to go now.
Exactly, which is going to be fun because again we have a month, so it's all going to happen. But we're excited for it. But yeah, so thank you all so much for listening or watching us today. We appreciate the support. We've been doing pretty well on Instagram, so
hell yeah,
it's Instagram crushing it, YouTube crushing it. All good things. So appreciate the views. But yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Before we head out though, Caleb, I just gotta say, go Birds in a few days. I swear, if I said this the other day, if the next podcast that we have is about the Eagles losing, it's not going to be pretty. I'm just going to warn all of you. You included, Caleb. It's gonna get gross, but get excited. So it should be good. But yeah, go Birds. Hopefully they win this Sunday, but we'll see because it is the Eagles and I know. But all right, we'll see you in the next one. Peace.